Good morning, everyone. My name is William. Today we are going over the 16th Sunday after Pentecost, the Introit, Miserere, mihi Domine. It's a great Mode 8 Introit, very classy, with a kind of interesting little comma inside. So, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so before we begin, hit that subscribe and ring that bell icon. I'm so excited. We're growing the channel. We're at 160 subscribers, so that's fantastic. Thank you everyone for your subscription. You have my prayers as we continue to do this. So today we're going over the Introit for the Latin Mass coming up this Sunday at our parish here in Southern California. Miserere mihi Domine, mihi, right? So immediately, well, let's talk about how we go through this. So we're going to go through this step by step, and if I think of something as I'm going to talk about it. I thought of something already. Mihi. So the local custom here, meaning Father Abbot Eugene Hayes at St. Michael's Abbey in Orange County, said, no one is to ever say miki. He promulgated that. It stuck with me that we don't do that. I don't do that classical pronunciation. There's arguments for that. There's arguments against that. Pick your battle. I'm not going to die on that hill. I'm just going to be a music director and say mihi, a soft H, or a aspiration H. So in this case, we're going to start this one off in kind of what we typically do at our parish. The first note will be the final sol, will be F. Oh, and our keyboard's off. There we go. And it'll be in F major with the E flat underneath it. So. And right off the bat, you can see that there's an asterisk with a jump on. So what does that mean? Right here, that little asterisk guy means that the rest of the choir has to jump on the train. So let's hear what that sounds like. You have to take a breath when the cantor is saying mihi, or whoever's intoning it. Domine, so that you can jump on without even missing a beat. And that's literal, so pun intended. So let's hear this. Miserere mihi Domine. And you can immediately hear how that would sound weird if everyone took a breath, or if the cantor had to stop and everyone looked at each other and didn't know what to do. Miserere mihi Do. It just sounds weird. So coming on strong, it's jumping onto the train, and we keep going. Okay, so that's the Introit, the beginning incipit. Let's keep going. Quoni amate clamavi tota die. Great. I don't think anything there is challenging. There is that descending of the fourth, and then the quieter ending on the fa, which is a very typical Mode 8 move to do. And again, I say this every week, the quarter bar, we're going to take a quarter breath. So real quick, sometimes, I say quarter breath, and it's a range. All of this is a range. Whatever the music dictates. If your choir director says to blow through that, blow through that. You just know this is an option. So what would that sound like? You have to make it musical no matter what you do. So, clamavi tota. You have to make it musical. So you can do both ways. I choose with our choir to make the quarter bar a quarter breath. Vi tota. Sometimes it comes out correctly as a quarter breath. Mentally, though, everyone's kind of, where they should be. So, So, let's keep going. At the full bar, quia tu domine. Oh, and by the way, I didn't mention this at the beginning. We are on the website GABC Chant Tools. It's kind of weird. It's bbloomf.github.io. So just, I don't remember that ever. I always just do the web search GABC Chant Tools. And that gets me where I need to go every time. And this is the propers tool. And I've dropped down the full introit. Let's pop in the Gloria Patri. Full with Gloria Patri. So there you go. All right, now let's keep going. So we're on Quia tu Domine, second line here. Quia tu Domine, suavis ac mitices. This is such a gorgeous thing coming up in this particular Mode 8 Introit. I love this diminished chord. I mean, they would never call it a diminished chord in chant era, but this is our label for it. So the diminished chord, we're changing our final for a little bit to T on mitices. Suavis ac mitices. For I am sweet and humble, because the Lord is sweet and humble. Suavis, I mean, it means more than just suave, or which is the English equivalent, or sweet. It's all that has all that entails. It's like, man, he's so suave, the Lord. Et copiosus in misericordia. I love that, et copiosus. It's so full. It like twists your heartstrings is basically what's happening here. In that Augustinian example of leading a child on with some candy or nuts. He says nuts, but I don't know any kid. Well, my kids like nuts, so like leading them on with nuts. It's just pulling your heartstrings to kind of like go to the Lord. So anyway, let's hear this whole phrase all the way to the end, because notice it's T. We end on a do. In misericordia, back to the T, very sweet and kind of twisting the heartstrings, pulling those heartstrings, mixing my metaphors. Omnibus invocantibus te finally brings us home. And we have this guy, the comma. What is that? So in various treatises, people say it was a quarter bar. Some people say, no, it's not a quarter bar, it's a breath. Other people say, no, it's just a pause in the music. Whatever you treat it as, in this case, the way it kind of, I believe they put it in to kind of nod to the fact it's there in the manuscripts. But notice here they put the dot. The dots aren't in the manuscripts in the way that we think they are, where they're looking like this. Sometimes they are, so depending on the manuscript. But what ends up happening here is this virga makes the bus of omnibus longer. So it's reflected here with the dot. So we're not going to take a breath there. I'm not going to, pause there, as insofar as there's a double note there. That's the pause. Fun fact, if you ever sing Norbertine chant or Premonstratensian chant, which is rare, they have these all over the place. In fact, these are called virga, or commas, they call them commas, and they go down in the text, and they're this big, and they're down here in the text, and they mean the same thing as a dot. Fun fact. So, in fact, one of these times I'll pull up some Premonstratensian chant. That was what I was trained in, and we'll get to that. But anyway, I've been talking a lot. Let's go back and sing Quia tu Domine, suavis ac mitices, et copiosus in misericordia. We're going to go all four of those bars, and you're going to hear what that sounds like in totality, and then maybe if something strikes me as needing to go over, we'll go back over that. So, Quia. Quia tu Domine, suavis ac mitices, et copiosus in misericordia Oh my goodness, that's so cool. It's so sweet. I just feel my heartstrings just like yes, yes, I need more of this, Lord. Quia tu Domine, right? Because you, Lord. And it's interesting. It gets really kind of tender and sweet and pulling heartstrings. And we're addressing the Lord. So this is one of those interesting kinds of prayers that you find in the Bible where we remind God how of his qualities. And it's kind of not reminding God of his qualities because he obviously is aware of those. It's reminding God of his qualities in the sense that we are reminding ourselves of his qualities. So this is the kind of psychology behind it, as far as I understand. We're reminding God, because you, Lord, are meek and humble, right? Meek and humble is one translation. And bountiful in mercy to all who invoke you. Obviously, he knows that. But us reminding him makes it psychologically so that we're super convinced of that. Because he doesn't need convincing that he's merciful. We need convincing that he's merciful. And it's kind of like when you get into the mindset of convincing him of his mercy, then we are like convincing ourselves. It's kind of like it's a bait and switch, if you will, where we're convincing him of his mercy, but in the sense that he already knows that he's not changing. But it's actually the Holy Spirit's way of convincing us of his mercy, because these are the prayers he gave us, right? This is from a Psalm 85. And these are the prayers he gave us. So he wants us to convince him of his mercy so that we convince ourselves of his mercy. He's like, remind me of my mercy, right? Remind me. And then everything's forgiven, because that's how easy it is. So knock, right? Okay, so back to that. I think the one thing that I wanted to mention about that is do not let those quarter bars, if you observe them, do not let them kill your momentum. Because if it kills the momentum, it becomes too segmented. And this is always a risk with the quarter bars, and I acknowledge that. Whereas the other way, if you don't and you blow through them, you do the thing where you kind of blow through them and pretend they're not there. You risk breaking everyone breathing at the same time somewhere else randomly. And you also risk kind of the chant feeling like it's getting away from you. And also you risk losing some of those quarter cadences, right? The difference between the quarter cadence and the full cadence, and the half cadence. So there's all those things. And then I think let's start at copiosus, and notice on the copiosus, I didn't say copiosus, I went copiosus. I infused it with a lot of awe to relax my jaw and my vocal cords and everything. So you want to picture it, if you're a visual kind of person, and when you get up high, et copio, right? It's relaxed. You don't want to push to it. I've seen a lot of times we use our chin to point at the note, et copio, and then you kind of and you close everything and it squeezes out. So if you can imagine your vocal cords, you get that squeezed feel as it comes out when you aim your chin up like that. When you open your vocal cords and relax and drop everything, you get a wider sound. And this is the throat and this is your mouth. You kind of drop it this way. If you tighten it like this, it gets tight and it kind of becomes very strained. So drop everything and open wide. That's how our throat is shaped. And then when we point our chin up, it goes like this. So we get that nasally kind of narrower sound. And it's hard to tune that, especially if other people are doing this and then you're doing this. It's really hard to tune, and you don't get that unified sound that chant it really wants to highlight. So one more time, et copiosus. et copiosus in mi... my fault. Mea culpa. So, in misericordia omnibus invocantibus te. So cool how it just comes down there, and those who invoke you, and it's like confident all of a sudden. That's psychology, right? Now notice invocantibus. This ending, tibus. Normally, if it's an unaccented I before a T, it would be tsi. However, because of this ending, this is the declined ending, ibus, it's invocantibus, right? Invocantibus, not invocantibus. This is an exception to that rule of the soft or the T versus the harder T. Is when it's this declining ending, ibus. So put that in the back of your brain. But that's pretty simple. So let's go through the verse. I don't go through the Gloria necessarily. I'm going to go back to the beginning and sing the whole thing. But the verse, Inclina Domine aurem tuam exaudime, quoniam inops et pauper sum ego. Inops, right? Watch out for that word. It's not a word you really run across a lot. Inops et pauper sum. Because I am inops, I am incapable, right? Ops is opus, right? I can't work. I don't work. Inops. I don't work, and I'm poor. Inops. I love that. It's like it just kind of bangs you over the head. Great word. So let's sing the whole thing. We'll call that an introit after we're all done. But you'll have the ability to kind of go over it with me and sing the whole thing without stops. All right. Miserere mihi Domine, quoniam a te clamavi, tota die, quia tua Domine, suavis ac mitis es, et copiosus in misericordia omnibus invocantibus te. Inclina Domine aurem tuam et exaudime, quoniam inops et pauper sum ego. Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto, sicut erat in principio, et nunc et semper, et in saecula saeculorum. Amen. Miserere mihi Domine. Cool. It's awesome. Notice how jumping on the train that introit is, that incipit. So thank you very much for joining me. That is an Introit, and it's been a pleasure singing with you. Thanks for joining me. Happy chanting this week. If you haven't already, click that like and subscribe button, and ring the bell so you know when I'm live. And we'll see you in the next video. We still have the offertory, the communion, and the brief Brevio or gradual and Alleluia to go over. We'll see you in those videos.